Hello, welcome back to Otter Pop Culture, and today we're going over Stevie Aoki's fourth album called New Future, or fourth album called Neon Future 4. So I have loved Stevie Aoki for the longest time. Honestly, he was one of the first people that I was drawn to when EDM started to become way more mainstream and everybody wanted to rave and not just the rave kids, like everybody wanted to do it and it was playing in the clubs like that. So I love his sound. Haven't seen him live. I wish I could. I know there's a whole thing about him like throwing a big ass like sheet cake at people in the middle of it, so I think that's kind of cool. But I always felt like he was always one of the top, at least for me, one of the top favorite DJs that I've came to love. So when this album came through, and I know I will admit that I did skip Neon Future 3. Didn't really call to me, and I try my best to be very honest towards stuff like that. So if I don't feel an album, I sometimes will lean into it, just not listen to it and just kind of pick and choose songs. And sometimes I will just like, you know what, I may not be feeling this album yet, but I should listen to the whole thing, kind of give it its moment. So I might do that with the third one, but I will say the fourth one, this one right here, it's insane. It's very intense. It's 27 songs. I thought the whole idea of having multiple, like a shit ton of tracks on an album, I thought that died out, which is I was kind of upset because I understand it's a lot to process, it's a lot to take in, definitely for a reviewer as myself. But I also feel like at the same time, I feel like personally for me, I feel like it's for the fans. It's strictly for the fans. It's releasing an album. You want the album, but also not just the album, but all the singles that I released to this album, and a couple other things. There's definitely a lot of songs I haven't heard yet, that I haven't heard in the singles that weren't singles that were really, really nice. For example, I loved the track 6 Girl featuring AGNEZ Agnes Mo and Desiigner. He's the one who did Panda. I love the production. I think the production is really cool. I love Agnes in it. She's just killing it the whole time. I love her, she's killing it. And then of course, Desiigner comes in and just kills it with his verse 2. It's really, really nice. But it was that kind of songs, that wasn't a single. It was just in there. So with that said, I'm not gonna go through track by track like I did with the Jaehn album, because it took two videos to do it. So I'm just gonna kind of cut it short. But also give you everything that I felt about the album, which is intense. I was really just like, ooh, this is gonna be either. So what? Actually, maybe back up. So when I first heard that he's releasing this album, you already know, I already had a video to it that was talking about all the future albums that I'm excited to see. And one of the predictions that I thought from this album, due to the tracks that have been released since at that moment, was that he was doing a lot of Asian performers. So he was doing Monsta X. He was doing what's his name? He was doing Darren Kriss. He was doing people like Lay, and there's all these Asian artists, and I was like, oh, this is so great. So he's gonna release a full album just strictly Asian performers, and that'll be so cool. Which he technically did release some things with it, but it wasn't just that. It wasn't. I was so fooled to think that it was just gonna be one dimensional. It's so many things. First of all, he has a whole trilogy thing going on with the whole explaining what the future is and explaining human nature, explaining the things that we talking about the building of who we are. One of the things he says in the Terra of Incognita featuring Brian Johnson was that it was to inspire an existence which exceeds our imagination. And I think that but it also leaned into another thing, which is on Homo Deus, which talks about like the book Homo Deus, a brief history to tomorrow, pretty much talking about like the nature of who or humankind and what we are and what we and how we're going to grow as something powerful, but at the same time we're not going to know what to do with this power, you know, and so that's going to be the doom of our kind of existence. But I like that idea that there's a bit of a kind of a theme to it, which I really, really love, and I think that's a further he's leaned into the neon feature theme. I feel like before he did, but he didn't really. It was more video driven and sound driven. It wasn't like here's some intros to like get you into it. When I first listened to this album, the first song, Closer to God, was an intro, and I listened to it the first time at night, and it was just insane. It scared the shit out of me because it was just the intensity of the beginning just made you feel like, whoo, this is kind of scary. So I didn't listen to the daytime, and I love it. I think the whole album has different pieces. Like, for example, Halfway Dead, which is the third song featuring Global Dan and Travis Barker, has a rap mix, has a trap meets rock kind of direction, which is Travis Barker always touched on before, but you have the Stevie Aoki direction of it, and it sounds amazing. You go into like more of an EDM type of sound, or old school type of sound of EDM with One True Love featuring Slushii. Really great, love it. One of my favorite songs off the album. Of course, then you have reggaeton. You got like with Maluma with Maldad, and I feel like that's a really that song, it's amazing. I listened to that song so many times. Like, it's insane. I don't know how I'm not tired of it, but I really, really love it. There's a lot of songs actually on this album that is just like, oh, thank you for releasing the album, but I've been listening to at least four of these songs on repeat because it's so good. That one, 2 in a Million featuring Sting and SHAED, like, who puts Sting on their album like that? Like on an EDM album, and he kills it. He completely kills it. He still has a great voice as usual. Backstreet Boys is on this on 11th track called "Let It Be Me." Works perfectly. I didn't know they can mingle well with EDM sound, as well as just a row of people in that little bit. Because the next song is One for You featuring Zoe Deschanel, which is weird. Why I did not think that she would do an EDM song, that she would be part of an EDM song, and she does really well. I was kind of scared that she has a very old-fashioned 20s type of sound of a voice, but it mingles really well into this. Yeah, it's a very great album. It's long. Trust me, it's long, but there is a cut in there. If you want to see it in a different way, there's a cut piece to it. So from track 1 all the way down to, I want to say loosely track 18 to track 19, one of the two, that's when it cuts off. You get all the features of just like of pop, kind of like pop EDM, and then it cuts you, or whatever different, or pop EDM, trap, rock, and all that stuff like that. He's kind of giving you like tastes of different things you can do, including with the cover of Crash Into Me with Darren and Kriss, which is a EDM cover from Dave Matthews. But he does it. Gives you snippets of like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Now you have the taste of what all the talents I have to offer you with all these people that are helping me out. Now I'm going to give you track 20 all the way down to the end with just EDM, hardcore, raving, hardcore EDM. So he's like, Do It Again is insane. And it's also a remix from the Chemical Brothers. It's just like the songs are just intense. Popcorn, I Wanna Rave, Hava, which is an EDM EDM version of Hava. Rave with Showtek, who just kills it. Who just you do not do Showtek without any type of like, unless you are just either rolling or you're raving hardcore, and that's exactly what that song gave me. It was very intense. I didn't really care for Cut You Loose by featuring Matthew Coma. I didn't feel like it really did anything. I feel like it was very just drifty. Also, and the very, very last song, which is, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it because I'm just gonna butcher it. But this is featured with Kita Sovi. This one I felt like should have been in the middle with the EDM beginning. Like I feel like, or just a taste of like, oh, this is gonna be something different. But I actually understand either that or not part of it at all. Maybe just as a personal single. But I understand what he's trying to do, because the whole last bit is all like EDM heavy and rave heavy. So yeah, but I love the list of songs. It's just a list of songs, and I'm very happy that he released this album of 27 tracks. I understand a lot of people don't really care for that. I know a lot of backlash got from Drake releasing Scorpion, and Zayn releasing Hibiscus, or the second album. I don't know why I can't remember his name. The name of the album. Icarus Falls. Yes. So I understand that people were like, this is so long, it's impossible to get through. You can get through it, cut it into pieces, and just listen to the background. Don't even I feel like you shouldn't have to dig deep into it. Just kind of just listen to it. If you're tired, cut it down, go back to it. You know, that's what I usually do with this. I personally usually do that, but with being a reviewer that I am, I have to go through the whole thing, so I do. But it is. I think it's pretty easy to get through. This one's very easy to get through. I know Zayn was much more drifty and much more of a mood. This one definitely is very easy to get through. I didn't think that Drake was easy to get through at all. But anyway, so yes, I really like this. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you thought about this sound and what he was doing. And if you like the 27 tracks, so you think we should just go back to the 12 track kind of direction. I'm actually hoping that my personal thoughts. I hope they actually that people do more of this, because I think that since we're all in quarantine and everything and the coronavirus, I think that we have nothing but time. So why not do 27 tracks on your album? Like, we want more music anyway. Like, with people like, oh, give us more music. It's like, here's 27. Deal with that for a couple months. You know, it's very satisfying. I give this album a 9 out of 10. It does exactly what it needs to do, and a little bit more. Leave a comment below, tell me what you thought about it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What was your top favorite songs? What were your least favorite songs? And I will see you guys in the next video.